when you start to wake up, you have baby steps because your eyes open and you see your reality in a completely different way. And there's no going back.
Right.
You can never live the same way ever again. They talk about a beautiful reality where everyone is working together, not against each other. They talk about a world where we're using all of our senses to communicate without, words. We're using our clairsenses. We have spaces for instantaneous healing. The very last paragraph says the month of March will be the beginning of the unraveling into the spring. You will see a chain of events that unravel and present themselves to you. We say now that you are better for it, knowing that these days are to come. For when they do represent themselves, you will not be in disbelief.
I want to welcome everybody back to another episode of The Soul Inspired. Today we have Pamela Downes coming back to the show. I'm really excited to talk to her today. She is a creative intuitive and a channeler, amongst other things in the spiritual realm of things. So we're going to talk to her. Thank you so much, Pamela. I'm really happy to have you back. I know we've been chatting a little bit before we get going here, but it's nice to have you back today.
Oh, it's so exciting to be back and to watch you expand and to just feel your energy again. And it feels good to be back. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, and as we said, it feels like it was not long ago you were on the show, but it's almost been a
Hmm.
year. And so when
Hmm.
we both found that out, I mean, I was completely shocked. It really reminded me, as I said earlier, it feels like time, and we've heard this before, that time is speeding up. I remember when I first got into kind of the spiritual work, even 10, 15 years ago, that time is an illusion and time is
Hmm.
speeding up. And I think time is speeding up. I don't know what you mean by that, but I really feel it now. Do you have any idea why that's happening?
Yeah, because the consciousness is shifting. And most definitely time is speeding up. Like what used to feel like a week, right? Feels like a day. What used to feel like everything feels. I literally went to pay my car payment and I said, no, wait a minute, I just paid it last week. I swear this happened this week. I was like, I just paid it last week. I had to go through all of my bank things to make sure because I literally felt like I had just done it. It was a month ago. It had already been a month. So,
Hmm.
yes, time is going by very, very quickly. And the planet is raising its frequency. Change is escalating and swirling all around us. And we're watching, life change so quickly. And we're all a part of that. So, yeah, we're feeling the frequencies, we're feeling the shifts, we're feeling it all. And it most definitely feels like it's faster. Do you remember when
Hmm.
you were a kid and summer was like forever and you
Yes.
felt like you had the whole summer?
Yeah.
You're like, I
Yeah.
have 3 months. Like, right now, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm already scheduling things for the fall, and it's crazy. It's just the beginning of March, so um, I don't know why. Like, I know that there's things that are shifting and things that are changing, but I most definitely feel it. Yeah, and everyone's saying it too.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder if as energy is raising, as there's things that are outside of this physical realm that are changing, if
Hmm.
that does kind of alter that state of time. Because as we know, I mean, the show revolves a lot around people who've crossed over or even seen the other side and things. And when they come back, one of the things I've had people say it felt like they were there 300 years. And then
Mm.
they come back and they were gone for 15 minutes or they were, and it's like, how did that feel? I'm like, how did that feel like 300 years? Like, what do you mean? And, or it felt, like they try to explain it in human form, but it's really hard. So the time it does change. So, and I wanted to say, one of the reasons I was really excited to get you back is because I think when I reached out or I'd seen, on social media, the things we were doing, it was around some of the different changes that were coming around in the world. And this is another thing I've started to notice a lot of different people. I'll mention certain things to some people and they'll look at me like, I didn't even hear about that. And I'll go, wow. So whatever we're focusing on, we tend to see so often. And one of the
Hmm.
things I was seeing earlier on in this year was when this is going to be a little out there, but all of a sudden we started hearing about drones in the sky, New Jersey
Yeah.
drones. There's drones everywhere.
Hmm.
And it started with that, and I was really curious about it, so I started really watching what was going on. I even started looking in the skies myself and talking to people that I knew from the States that are, in different areas that were seeing these things. And then all of a sudden there were some people I had talked to that were in Europe that were saying they were seeing. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why is it, if this is isolated? Then the next thing you know, that shifted. And what started happening is on different social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, things like that, people were recording orbs in the
Hmm.
sky, these balls of light that were shifting and changing shape, and they were communicating. People are sitting there talking to these things, telling it to change color, and it would change color for them. And they, there's this one amazing video of this kid, and he's just so excited because every color he was mentioning, the orb would shift. And I'm sitting there watching these, and I'm thinking, is everyone not seeing this? And I was getting so frustrated because I'm like, is this just in my world that I'm seeing this? Or because I'm telling my students, the clients I work with, and some of them are like, what are you talking about? Like, I haven't heard any of this. I haven't heard about the orbs, they haven't heard about the drones, they didn't hear about, and I'm like, okay, well, am I going down a conspiracy rabbit hole? Like, what's going
Mm,
on? I wanted to bring it up only early just because I see that as part of the world events that are changing. Part of that. I
correct.
mean,
Yeah.
that's amongst the disclosures that are happening and all these things. And I just kind of wanted to get, as a channel yourself, have you
Hmm.
received any of this earlier on or seen any of this coming?
Yeah. So, um, I've had visions, I've had experiences with ETs. Part of when I started channeling was having experiences with interdimensional, higher dimensional beings. So I was learning all the frequencies um, and having experiences at night with ETs by my bed or communicating light language, which is like a galactic language. I was, and I still do, experience communication with them. I have visions, and one of the visions that I've seen is this amazing awareness campaign of thousands of ships in the sky where they're just making their presence known in a beautiful, loving way, saying, we're here. We are part of this existence that all that is. You are a part of it. We are a part of it. We're all in this together, sort of, you know. But I channeled. So I lived in New Jersey
Hmm.
before I moved here down to Washington, D.C. area. And a lot of my community members were sharing about the drones that they were seeing in New Jersey. And my neighbors and people that I knew on Facebook and in South Philadelphia, which is right over the bridge from New Jersey, they were filming them. And I tapped in because I asked the council, because I do TikTok videos about current events, about visions that I've had, about premonitions that I've had, and future events that I've had. I get downloads and things all the time. And I ask them, there's something that's coming in the future, and I don't want to really get into the weeds or create any fear around things, but there's a new movement that's happening with control and an agenda and all the things, and are part of that. They've talked about that.
Hmm.
They've kind of are able to, watch people and monitor people, and like it's part of that system that's going to be in the future. I asked the guides, "What is this? Are they UFOs? Are they ETs?" They said, "Absolutely not. They are tactics from the government. They are not extraterrestrial beings. They are not higher dimensional beings. It's almost like they're trying to instill fear and stir up. Basically, all the things that are happening, they're tactics to get us distracted. Everybody look this
Hmm.
way. Everybody look this way. And what are we doing? We're all following it. We're all just like looking at what's happening, what's being put out in the news. And a lot of what we are given is fear.
Hmm.
Fear, fear, fear over and over and over again, distractions. And so yeah, no, they are definitely not. They are not ETs, but the globes, the orbs.
Hmm.
They're shifting colors, they're shifting their frequency, they're communicating. They come as almost like, a counterbalance to what's happening with the other tactic. They
Hmm.
come to say, hey, look, we're amazing. Like, look at these colors, look at this vibration, look at how we can move through space and time so agile and quickly. And it's a completely different experience. It's a completely different vibration. I shared a video to my beloved yesterday of hadn't heard about the drones in maybe 3 months. We haven't really been talking about it.
Hmm.
Someone filmed one in Las Vegas, and it was ominous. It was large. It was scary. It had sound. It was like it had this frequency, and you could hear the people. They were fearful of it. Um, then it's the airplanes. Then suddenly the airplanes are not working, and there's
Right?
crashes, and there's wheels falling
Yeah.
off, and there's crash line. It's like, what's next? Like, let's get what's the next trick that they're gonna, put in front of us to distract us and make us scared.
Yeah, and I was even thinking it, you've just brought up a huge piece, and I have a good friend of mine named Derek who him and I are kind of like those, like he's my buddy that we throw spirituality back and forth at each other,
Mm-hmm.
just things that we find. And I was just even yesterday just getting ready for sleep, and I was getting ready for a shower, and I was sitting there, and I've been so stuck in the political world in the last couple weeks, both, from just worldwide, whether it's the States, Canada, like everywhere, just everything going on. It seems like a
Mm-hmm.
world thing going on right now. And I was,
Yes.
and I've been focusing on all the stuff going on and focusing and focusing and focusing. Oh, what's going on? What's the next thing? What's going on? It's all political. And I sat there and I thought, I've been so distracted by this that I stopped. I used to, before bed, I'd go through and see the new orb videos that would come out, and or I'd find people who were channeling the Galactic Federation, or they'd be
Mm-hmm.
channeling the UFOs in the skies and the Disclosure Project stuff that's going on, more positive related content. And then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, I sat there and I thought, oh, wow, I've been distracted.
Mm-hmm.
For the last
Yeah.
couple weeks, I've been completely distracted. I'm doing the exact thing that I'm trying to promote people not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm human. That's part of the
Mm-hmm.
human experience. But at least I had the awareness
To see it.
to see it. And I
Mm-hmm.
went, okay, what is going on really? And I mean, if you talk about I don't want to get political because it's a very sensitive topic to a lot of people, but we could just call it political. The
Yeah.
political scene, it is such a strong distraction that
Mm-hmm.
it literally permeates everybody to a point where it's like everyone's against the division, the
Mm-hmm.
divisiveness between two sides, literally, as we've seen just the other night. It's unbelievable. Like I'm just kind of in shock
Mm-hmm.
to see it. And
Mm-hmm.
do you believe just from channeling or getting intuitive thoughts or feelings, is that part of this
Absolutely.
agenda? It is
Yeah,
part
you
of the
don't even have
agenda.
to finish your sentence. Absolutely. And I'm witnessing it in my personal life and in my spiritual community. And the guides talk about everything that our world was built in is was created for us. So we were born into a system. We were born into all of the systems that exist, our government, our religion, our food, our healthcare, like everything. And it's all starting to break down right now. So that new earth energy can be revealed, so that the light can permeate our planet. That lower frequency that, a lot of people are entangled in is starting to break, and the light is starting to come through, and it's happening. That's a lot of the contrast that's happening. So that lower dimension, or that lower frequency, is really grasping. That's why there's some of these tactics. They're trying to fear's a low frequency. They're trying to regain and maintain what is existing right now. Everyone's fighting, and the guides, the Great Council of Light, who I channel, are always saying to stop the fighting. Take yourself out of that situation. Witness what it is that you are looking at. What are you consuming? What are you watching? What are you talking about? Who are you spending time with?
Hmm.
What are you doing on the daily? Really look at it. Look at it like you're looking at someone else. Like look at yourself. And we have our Friday gatherings inside of my community. Very interestingly enough, there's a lot going on in the States right now. There's a lot of divide. A lot of the people that I follow, on Facebook, my friends. I'm a musician like you, a creative. A lot of super feelers are in that group.
Hmm.
They are feeling a certain sort of way. Everyone is, but they're getting caught up in the emotion, caught
Hmm.
up in the frequency. And spirit doesn't want us to do that, because then we're just absorbing, and we're taking on all of that into our energy body. And right now we have to protect, and we have to really pay attention to what we're doing. I said to my community members, they were talking about our new president, and they were talking about the conversations that are happening right now, and they were talking about billionaires. It's the very first time this ever came up in our community gathering. And
Hmm.
I was witnessing anger. I was witnessing trauma. I was witnessing everyone's personal stories being slathered all over, experiences that were happening now. That line gets blurred where suddenly you take on other people's energy, you take on other things that are happening in the news as your own. And like, you really need to create a separation with that. And yeah, it's hard, but it's a practice. You have to pay attention to it. And I said to everyone, listen, guys, we have to be the witness. We have to take ourselves out of that, out of those scenarios, out of those conversations, out of all of it, have a higher view of what's happening and not put ourselves into it. We're not backstroking and swimming in it and really
Hmm.
just diving into it. No, it's our job to take ourselves out of it and pay attention so you can politely dismiss yourself from the conversation.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be angst, doesn't have to be fighting, it doesn't have to be any of that. It's clarity. What do I want for my life? Because it makes you feel sick. It gets your
Right.
mind entangled. Then you're laying in bed thinking about it. I had a dream about it last night. It's so interesting.
Hmm.
And because I don't like seeing people fight about the don't take that on as your own. It's
Hmm.
not necessary. We've got enough going on in our life to juggle and maintain and worry about and pay attention to.
Yeah.
you know, right?
Yeah.
Does that help answer it?
Oh, absolutely, it does. And it was funny. I kind of got a download as you were talking because I'm part of different groups, different communities, different groups. I even have a few friend groups, and possibly some of these friend groups I'm talking about might know exactly who I'm talking to. I don't need to say their names, but I'm part of
Mm,
some really good friends that I've been friends with for a long time. And I've even seen the division happening between them and us and myself. And I get caught up in it with my own personal um, thoughts around things that are going on. And as you were talking, I got this, I've been talking to a lot of different mediums and people that come on the show, and how my gifts have really enhanced over the last year with the show and just in
mm,
general. And now what happens is, instead of getting an emotional thought or something, I get a direct, just kind of like a hit, I would call it. It's the only way I can describe it, where I get
yeah.
kind of like this direct message. It just goes boom. And there's no like
Mm,
emotion connected. And it's funny, around what the message I got was, tell them you love them.
yeah. Give them love.
Tell
What
them
can
you
they
love
do
them.
with that?
Like,
Nothing
imagine
but
if I
like
just went
receive.
on. Yeah, I went, and then the next part is my ego and human came on. I'm telling people that are listening, the audience and yourself, of the way, what happened there is, so the first thing said, tell them you love them. And then my human went, no, I'm
Mm,
not going to do that because of
mm,
this reason, or I'll look
mm.
silly or whatever. And I went, hey, but you got that message. So now I'm gonna have to go do that, and they're probably gonna think, "What's wrong
Yeah.
with Joe? Is he on something?" But it doesn't matter, because this is
Yeah.
this is what we need to be doing. Because what's
Hmm.
happening is, we're so distracted, we're going down this other side of things, and we're just getting caught up in exactly what the negative energy wants us to
Yes.
do. So the only way
Yes.
to probably get out of that and propel us forward is to trust our intuitive feelings,
Hmm.
and seek the positive again. And
Yeah.
I wanted to say that because here's the question for you. Because this is all going on, and this is where I'm trying to understand from a spiritual place, or there might be people listening, is why, when there is times that we are supposed to rise energetically, spiritually, evolutionary, whichever way we're moving right now, why do things go really dark first? Why do we
Mm,
have to have this? Why can't we just continue to climb the ladder of spiritual
hmm.
growth and be happy and everything's great and it's rainbows and heavens? Why is there this? Why does this shift hit? And it's hitting so hard that I'm on board with you in feeling that we're going to have massive growth, because if the answer is that we have to go down to see the light or whatever it is, I feel like there's been so much gunk. It's
Hmm.
like, wow, on the other side of this could be beautiful, but how much do we
Yeah.
have to go through? So I just want to know your insight around
Yeah.
that.
Oh man, the council wants to come through so bad.
Mm.
Um, I'll tell you why, because the breakdown has to happen. There has been a construct created for us, and it can't exist as planet Earth raises its frequency. It just can't exist. So think about we talked about this last time, the frequency of your instruments, and a high vibration. It's permeating all, and it's so high that the low can't work with it. Like dark can't be in a light room, right? So it
Mm,
has to have that shift, and the only way to have the shift is to go through it, because
mm,
we are inevitably supposed to be moving into a new earth energy. And I'm telling you right now, the guides talk about what you just said. When you're learning music, when you're learning a language, when you're learning a new job, when you're learning new skills, like you have to learn them. You have to condition yourself. You have to have a structure. You have to have a strategy. You have to like go every day and spend time doing it and all the when the fear, which is happening right now, comes in waves at you, if you just let it consume you, like it's your job to work on your frequency. So the guides, and this is just the beginning of all of this, it's just going to get more and more compounded, more and more strength as we move into this giant shift that's happening. The guides want you to raise your vibration. That's what's happening with you. That's why you're getting your downloads. That's why you're hearing messages of love. You don't necessarily have to say, I love you to the guy, to the girl, whomever. You can just say, hey, I see you. That's sending love.
mm,
I hear you. I understand that you're having a hard time. I'm always here for you. Message me directly. We can always meet and chat. That's love, right? That's the opposite of fear. So if you're showing up in that way, that's a great thing. But you have to show love for yourself too. You need to pay attention to how to raise your frequency so that you're not just a bowling pin when the
mhm,
craziness and when the shit hits the fan. You have to be strong. You have to like not let all this stuff rock you and knock you down, right? The guides say that a new beautiful reality is coming,
mhm,
and not everyone's going to be able to exist in it. So planet Earth is shifting and the world is shifting and our frequencies are shifting, and the things that aren't meant to exist in that frequency, they won't be there. Next time they want to come in, I'll just let them start talking if that's okay. They
yeah,
were like
absolutely.
they wanted to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. If you
You
get
can cut.
yeah, it's like a bunch of people probably running into a room and wanting to grab the mic, right? So
Yes.
I totally I can
Mic
understand
drop.
that. Yeah, it's amazing though, like what you're saying, because again, if it is that we have to go through the sludge to be able to get out of it,
Hmm.
there is definitely a lot of fear around it because it's like how much do we have to endure, right? How much do we have to take
Hmm.
on? And then at the same time, I can understand, and I want to give empathy to people out there that may have either a political view or they have a certain thing that the message they're trying to put out because we're human beings and passion
Yeah.
is one of our biggest pieces of who we are. So if we
Hmm.
believe in something, we want to spread that message with passion and all this, but we don't want to do it in a way that's going to hurt the other side or hurt others,
Right.
right? So there's this
Hmm.
conflict within us. It's like, do we sit and let things just happen? Even if we don't agree with it, or say, hey, I don't want to have that conversation,
Yeah.
even if we feel like we have something to say about it. So I think part of us
Yeah.
is like, okay, I want to ignore it, but if I ignore it, is that being ignorant? If ignoring it
Right.
means we're not going to raise everybody else's vibration, because maybe personally everybody thinks what their feelings are the right feelings and they want other people to
Right.
see it their way. So I can
Right.
understand where everybody's coming from. And
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out a way that people can get through this where they feel like they're being heard, but
Hmm.
they're not hurting others
Hmm.
and they're able to raise their vibration. And I guess
Hmm.
that's really where I'm at because I do
Hmm.
have in it, whether it's friends, family, different people with their opinions,
Hmm.
there's some people where my approach has been, hey, I don't want to talk about it. It's just not a
Hmm.
good, let's talk about something that we can
Yeah.
align with. And then other
Yes.
people, it is a discussion. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like hold it in a place that's a positive place. If it's going to go down a
Yeah.
negative road, what's the point of doing that? And that's
Yeah,
just,
but
I
do
don't know.
you really want to talk to somebody who's just not going to be in a really present, honest, aligned, authentic conversation? No, you don't.
Right.
I mean, you and I are super feelers. We're creatives. We're
Mhm.
lovers. Like we are. We just
Yep.
are. I know who you are because I am you. And I have this really, I was part of a 26 piece band, And I love everyone in that band. I retired a year and a half ago, but there's just one person who I adore. Like we are just, I mean, every time I was with him, I just love him so much. And like would feel his energy every time we're near each other. Well, I was seeing him on Facebook fighting, taking a stance. Like he's so beautiful. He's so creative. He's so lovely. It was breaking my heart to see him fighting, to see him posting, to see him like it's consuming him. And I could see his face and it's consuming him. It's changing his vibration, it's changing his energy. And so me, the human, the lover, the super feeler, feels like she needs to reach out to him, right? And I
Hmm.
asked if I should, and the guide said no, but I couldn't help myself,
Mm.
right? I'm human too. So I reached out to him and he actually posted something beautiful about his music, about himself. And I chose to do kind of like the approach I said to you. I sent him a direct message to the reel that he posted. I said, this is the, and I used his name that I love, that I just think is so amazing, that I love to see show up like this in the world. This is who like everyone loves, you
Mm.
know? And then he wrote back to me like this huge message because he was angry and he was fighting because he was consumed. It wasn't even his fight that he's fighting. He's fighting a fight for, like, it's not necessary. Like, it's taking him down, it's taking him over.
Hmm.
And I wrote something back with love, again, like super loving. And then he wrote back to me and he's like, thank you, Pamela. I hear you. I understand. But like, it's kind of like you're putting a mirror sort of in front of them. And what are they going to do? Ah! They're just going to bark back at you because
Yeah.
that's what they're existing in.
Right.
And so you have to kind of you really just have to pay attention to yourself and
Hmm.
you got to say, what is it I want to be a part of? And what do I have control over? And what do I want my day and my week and my reality to be? Because I am the creator of all of that.
Hmm.
The guides talk about your individual experience and then the collective experience. You, Joe, you, listener, you get to create your reality. So if you want to have ease and flow, if you want to have beauty and alignment, you want to have all of the things coming to you effortlessly and easily and often, pay attention to what you're doing so that you're in alignment and you're not fighting and you're not, existing your days like kind of numb, right?
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
get to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say too, with again, I've said this before that I always try to go the optimistic route. I always try to be the positive side of things. I always see it that way. When I'm talking to a lot of people right now, you said this a little bit earlier on in what you were saying, is that even with everything going on, world events, this, political upheaval, whatever it is that we're dealing with right now, that
Hmm.
you, whether it was a vision or a feeling, or maybe through your, collective higher
Hmm.
consciousness, feel that there are even some things we're going to have to deal with coming. When people hear that, it feels very dark, it feels very
It
negative,
does.
it feels very sad. And I don't know why I'm this way, but maybe it's because if we are creating our own individual experience, maybe not all of us will experience that darkness. I don't know
Right.
what that means. But
Exactly.
right away I thought to myself, "Oh, I don't want that in my plan. It's not in my plan." And I want to see the beauty that's coming, and
Hmm.
I want to feel that. So, is that as simple as it is, or are we actually going to have to all endure something terrible? I don't want to put fear out there, and that's what
Hmm.
I'm trying to stay away from because I just don't
Hmm.
truly believe we it's necessary to do
Hmm.
that.
Right. Well, the guides talk about that over and over and over again. I just found it was the February message for our community, and it talks about how the year will be filled with shifts and turns that show you that you are not in control of your exterior world on the planet, but you are indeed in control of the life that you create for yourself, knowing exactly what you desire to create and what you desire to withstand within your immediate world, you know? And at the very end, they talk about preparing. They talk about this. This is their role. Like I've contracted with them to come back here now to go through all of these shifts on planet Earth. But at the very end, it says this year, 2025, will be abundant for those that are able to visualize themselves and regain their power to create the life that is centered around themselves that they desire. Nothing will stand in the way of that. No war, no confusion, no misdirection of your world. You stand as the dynamic force that you are, and you draw all to you. So whether that's 20, 25, 26, 27, 20, whatever it is,
Hmm.
that's the way that the universal laws work. And
Okay.
I feel like I'm going back to the same thing all the time. But you are the anchor for your reality. And so there could be a war going on around you. It's all your perspective. It's all how you show up. It's all your frequency. It's all your thought. It's all of it. You're
Mm.
creating more of it every second of every day.
Hmm.
Like we talked earlier about the sludge, the muck, the difficult times that happened. In right now, specifically in this month, we're in March recording. Who knows when this will air? Maybe it'll be cool that people could go back and see. But there's lots of childhood trauma that's surfacing for people in my community and for people in the world
Mm.
because it's time for these embedded things that are stuck in our energy bodies to be released. To be released. I've been having memories that just surface really quickly, and I'm able to like process them, see them, feel them, and release them. And it just channeled a message for someone yesterday that I'm working with, and it said they're going to have these really quick. And I thought to myself, I'm having that right now. Somebody else I talked to is having that. I channeled a message for March. That's what's happening. So it could be not only just world events or things that are happening, you're being prepared. Those that are rising, that are paying attention to their consciousness, that are wanting to absorb and understand and expand and shift their vibration, they are having, they are being assisted as the planet frequency shifts, their vibration is shifting.
Mm.
Trauma, experiences, deep embedded memories, things are coming up to be witnessed, resolved, and released to
Mm.
assist with the greater shifts that are happening. So, you know, it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit
Mm.
of everything. But yeah, um, I've seen things, and my job. People say, "How can you share these premonitions? How can you share these visions? How can you share these messages? Doesn't it scare you?" No, it doesn't scare me because I know that the frequency that transmits these messages that I work with that are actually a part of me are so high frequency, so filled with love. They know that this inevitably is what is happening, and they want to be here to help support us. They want to teach us about how to shift our vibrations so that we have an easier time. They want
Hmm.
to teach about love. They want to teach about all of these things to help us through the shifts because they are coming. And on the other side of it is an intergalactic world,
Mm.
is using all of our senses to communicate, to work, to live. Like it's going to be beautiful, but it's going to take time to get there. The shifts have to happen in order to get there.
Yeah. No, and I think the way that you've described it, and even, I think where a lot of people get confused is they will hear a message. You might have a message that comes through and you'll put it out there, and
Mm.
it might instill fear in a certain person, let's say. Well, what I think where people are getting a little bit confused by, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you see a message or you feel a message, it can happen in your reality,
Hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen in your reality. And in fact, it may
Correct.
happen in one person's reality and not in another's. And that's where people, I think, sometimes don't understand that we're not all living in the same reality. So that
Correct.
I might have lost a few people, I don't know, but that's really what it's all about, right? So
Yeah.
your experience and this other person's experience could be completely different. And that gets into the whole idea, and I don't know where I learned it, and I don't feel educated enough to speak on it, but I'm going to try my best in that we have a multi-dimensional reality where our dimension is continuously shifting. So you could be in one reality and I'm eating an apple and I'm with a good friend and we're having a good talk. And in some other reality, a bomb drops or something. And in this other reality, we get up and go for lunch. And I'm using it in a very basic
Yeah.
terminology, but the idea is that there's these different shifts that can happen. Now, my
Hmm.
friend's reality that he is more focusing on may have shifted to the bomb. In my reality, I might be out having some pizza with him. And so
Mhm.
that can be confusing to understand, but that is something that I've heard many times. And when you dive into quantum physics, it gets it almost proves these things. And then
Mhm.
I get lost once I start going down that way because I'm not a scientist at heart. I love science, but I
Mhm.
wasn't my highest grade in high school and things like that.
Mhm.
But I can understand the concepts of it. But I just want to know, am I kind of onto something with that, or am I
Yes,
completely off?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we have different dimensions. We live in the third dimension. Each dimension has a different frequency. It's a different reality. Call it a reality. So you can be existing in three dimensions. I'm always dipping back and forth in from five and three. I live like kind of that way all the time. I'm always channeling. I'm always getting higher dimensional information. But we are living simultaneously. There's through all time and space. So we're living in different realities in different dimensions all at the same time in time and space. I travel. I astral travel at night. I go and see different versions of myself in different realities. It's kind of crazy, but it's really true.
Wow.
And last night they showed me a future version of myself this summer. It's awesome. It's like, it's really cool. So I got to see I see snippets all the time. I've been seeing the house I'm going to live in the future. I've been traveling there and seeing like snippets of it. I've been seeing little visions of the car driving down. Like it's really cool, but it already exists. I am aligning to it. It's already there. I am aligning to it. That's my point. You need to be in a
Mm.
frequency so that you can align to it. And you're already bringing it in. So here's a good example. And, I don't want anyone to, people can look at a video, a premonition, and then they get fearful about it, but they're actually meeting the message with the level of fear that they already carry inside of them, which is their frequency. So some people can come and see my 2025 predictions video, which is up on my YouTube channel. Go look at the comments. Wow, this is amazing. I can't believe that I'm here for this. I've been waiting for this. Wow, this is, whatever. Other people are like, I don't live in fear and did it. But that's you screaming. That's like a scared child that's screaming with their fear level. And that's where they exist. That's what I'm trying to say. You can sit and fight and be in fear and fight and fight and fight and fight if that's what you want to do, because that's the reality that you're living in. That's your friend you just talked about. That's the people who are fighting on Facebook that we're friends with that I can't be friends with right now because it's hard. Or that's the conversations that are happening when I'm at the Starbucks and people are so angry, but that's they're living in that level of fear and they want to fight. They want to fight. Like the dog that's barking all the time or the dog that's happy. They live in different frequencies because of whatever happened to them, their trauma there. It's the same thing. And the guys they really want you to be able to raise your frequency. That's eating higher vibrational foods. That's listening to a better, higher frequency podcast like yours or higher frequency music and not really low, hateful, low frequency music. That's having friends that really feed you, align with you. That's relationships, your family. You don't spend time with the ones that are really hard, that deplete from you, but you spend time with people that feed you. That's your work, making shifts to making a work choice that's maybe more in alignment with you. That's not sitting there and gobbling up fearful news and radio and social, just like haphazardly, just consuming. It's making choices that allow you to reside in a higher frequency so that better, higher things can align with you.
Mm.
That's what it's about.
And that takes a
That's
little bit
what it
of
is.
work and effort
Mm-hmm.
because there's going to be times where we've said before where we feel that pull. It's like a magnet. The magnet is pulling you away from it. And you have to have the courage, you have to have the awareness. I think
It's the awareness.
awareness is
Yes.
like it's one of the best words out there. It's because
Yes.
it's like it means so much. If we can just
Yeah.
understand that, get a hold of your awareness because it can really change your life because we, you talk about AI or any of these things. If we talk about that, we're kind of like robots at times where we're just I remember when I was about 25, I went to my first psychic And she said to me, she asked me a funny question, and she said, "So you drove here, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "How many red lights did you hit?" And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know." And I said, "In fact, I don't remember any of the lights." And she said, "Right." And you took about 40 minutes to get here. And I said, "Right. So you had to hit a lot of lights." And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "How did I forget all those lights?" Because my
Mm-hmm.
awareness I wasn't paying any attention. So my point is,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're doing. We're doing that
Mm-hmm.
all day, and we're doing things even unconscious. We're just doing things as a robot. So if we're aware of the things we're doing, we can be aware of the people we're around, aware of the foods we're eating, aware of all these things. It can change,
Yeah.
and you have to shift into that. And another
Mm-hmm.
thing I wanted to speak on, because you know, I get a lot of different people on here who are either channelers or mediums, and they get messages and they put out messages. And, psychic mediums and people who channel messages can really get a bad rep for the wrong reason. And I'm going to say it like this because it just came to me. You put out a message that might feel negative or whatnot, and a person might be like, "Oh, this is just, you're doing this because you're trying to get attention, and you know that negative's going to hit. Why would you put that out if you're such a spiritual person? Why would you put this negative thing?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing
Mm-hmm.
about human beings is we learn different ways. You can have the person that'll hear your message and say, "That's not my reality. In fact, it's not that I don't agree with that, but I'm glad that message is coming out, but I'm shifting this reality." Then you'll have the person who will say, "Oh, I feel that coming. I feel that coming. Oh my gosh." And they'll get basked in that fear. Now they walk away
Mm-hmm.
from it and they're walking around their day and they're like fearful now. Now you might look at that and say, "Well, why would that psychic or that medium or that channeler put that message out to her?" Well, now that person is, their awareness of their reality that's coming is now on. So now they have the option to say, "You know what? I got to change something. I'm going to have a positive outlook. I don't like this feeling."
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people will be doing the negative thing and not even be aware they're doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fighting every day, fighting every day. And then someone like you might come out and say, "Hey, here's this vision I'm seeing." And they might go, "Oh gosh, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. I've been doing this every day." I was like, exactly. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
it becomes real
Mm-hmm.
and it's tangible. And then they go, "Okay, how can I shift this?" So
Mm-hmm.
that's doing good. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
negative, that's not a bad thing. So I'm putting it
Yeah.
out there because I think a lot of people get this feeling of, why would you put that out there? Why would you put that message out there if it's not a
Yeah.
positive thing? Well, it's because we can
Yeah.
shift from negative to positive. That's the whole
Yeah,
purpose.
totally.
And I
Yeah.
think those messages come through for that purpose. They come through to bring awareness of the collective's energy and the way that it's driving. So why not come out
Yeah.
and shift it? What's
That's
the
why we
point of,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
I
have to be
mean,
doing it. You could be doing something
no.
completely different in your life.
Listen,
Or yeah.
you should hear sometimes of the comments that I get. Like people are like, "Oh, you just want to be, you're just doing this for yourself, and you're doing it for the money." I'm like, "The money? are you, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm losing money every month to be out here to serve humankind. Like I have a calling. I didn't choose this. This chose me. I chose this in another space and time, another reality, another version of myself. Chose to do this now. And when these experiences happen to you, where you realize that this is what your work is, you realize that you need to be speaking, and that'll change, and it's going to evolve in so many different ways you don't even know yet, right?
Mhm.
But these messages, when I was called, I've been having these premonitions, downloads, visions, experiences since 2020. It all changed and it all broke wide open in 2020. I kept it all to myself for a very long time.
Mm.
In October of 2024 is when they pushed me to start sharing all this stuff. They pushed me. Do you think I wanted to do it? No. But what am I supposed to do? Hold it inside of myself when I'm being pushed and I'm having these experiences and I know that I'm supposed to do it. That's my soul work. That's my fear to work through. And I started doing that. And am I supposed to keep a message that I receive that could help people to myself? How could I put my head on my pillow at night and go to sleep? I couldn't. So if some people are scared by it, if some people feel confirmation by it, which happens a lot, like you said, I was feeling this. I've been feeling all these things. I've been seeing these things. It's my greatest work to be able to make them feel like they're not, you know, going off the deep end. Like their feelings actually matter. Like they actually are tapping into their intuitiveness and
Mm.
they're starting to expand their themselves. Um, it's interesting. There's always going to be people that think you're a charlatan or people that think you're talking out your ass. Like, like it's not. When you start to wake up, you have baby steps because your eyes open and you see your reality in a completely different way. And there's no going back.
Right.
You can never live the same way ever again. Never,
Well,
never.
it's like turning on a completely different sense. Like you have your
Yep.
eyes, you have your hearing, you're seeing, you're smelling.
Hmm.
Once you turn that on, you can pretend it's not there. And people do.
Yeah.
And but the problem is that they'll continue to get the messages because once you've kind of become aware, I think we're all supposed to eventually get there. And I think that
Hmm.
in a positive utopia or in our best version of who we could become, I think we all are aware of those gifts and those things that we have, those senses, right? I wanted to ask you from a positive place. Just I'm
This
playing
has
a
been
little fun
fun.
here. Yeah. Yeah, I really I knew this was going to kind of go down these ways, but you are an intuitive and a
Hmm.
channeler, and you've picked up on different things. Have you ever seen if we do change our world, our personal world, our in a positive way, if we go down the right way, what does that look like? Have you ever seen
Mm.
anything that can come out of the mud? Like where are we heading? That kind of thing. I've had my own feelings of where it's going. I think I've never expressed it. I
Hmm.
express with music, right? Like last night I picked up my guitar, started singing, I wrote a song, right? It's that quick and that easy. So someone said to me, Joe, you have been channeling since you were 11 years
Mm.
old. You just didn't realize that
Yeah.
you're doing it in music. So you could do it in different ways. And I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. So from your own space, because you do practice this from a spiritual place, what have you seen that could be like a possible positive outcome?
I wish I could read the most beautiful message that I ever channeled before right now. I wish I could find it.
Mm,
But they talk about it's like a utopia. They talk about a beautiful reality where everyone is working together, not against each other. They talk about a world where we're using all of our senses to communicate without, words. We're using our clair senses.
mm,
We have spaces for instantaneous healing. And it's like a world you can't imagine, like the times of Lemuria and Atlantis and all of that with energy. It's like a frequency where the most beautiful experiences can exist. That's where we're moving into this age of Aquarius. They talk about this golden age.
mm,
And where love is at the forefront of everything that we do and the communities that we build are like working in tandem together. I mean, can you imagine where everything that we do is a high frequency? That's our food, that's our work, that's our relationships, it's everything. And I want to live there.
yeah.
I'm living there right now somewhere. I just don't, I'm not aware of it.
Right.
Right?
Right. You're trying to head there right now. You're trying to
Right.
get to that
Yes.
frequency. Yeah.
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 And I love what you just said about that you believe that we all have these abilities. We do. We all come, we choose to come back to planet Earth and other realities to learn about love because our complete experience here is to learn about love. So you come back, you contract that you want to do this dance with whomever, and you all say, yay, let's go down, let's do this. And so maybe in this lifetime, you're not going to learn about frequency or you're going to learn how to overcome fear. Or you're not going to be able to step into a space of expanding your spiritual abilities, like your senses. But maybe next lifetime you will. You'll do better. You've learned, you'll come back, you'll do better. And that is the expansion. That is the journey. That's why we're here. That's what we do. Ultimately, to get to the place where we're able to do, everyone has the gifts that I have. We all have it, Right now,
Mhm.
I just channeled a pineal gland meditation, and the guide said when I went to channel it, it was like it came in so fast. We need this now. People need this now. March is going to be the beginning of the unraveling of 2025. People need to be able to connect more easily with their higher selves, with their intuition, with their guides. And we all have a pineal gland in our head, in the center of our head. We all have these senses, our clair senses, to hear, to see, to sense, to smell, to feel, to see in our mind's eye. We all have it. It's whether we're able to reach a frequency and the consciousness and awareness that you said to be able to get to utilize them. But you do eventually as you journey this life, this path.
You said a few times during this talk today that March is the beginning of an unraveling. And you also, I think from what I remember, last time we spoke, you do have kind of a, I mean, you've mentioned it a few times through it that you have a community that you work with. And what is the community called again? Just so I can
Oh,
remember.
yeah, it's called spirit calling.
Spirit Calling. So that
Yeah.
community, you share these messages with the people of that
Yes.
community.
Mm-hmm.
And this March is the beginning of an unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
What are you feeling of that? What's the unraveling? That word unraveling keeps hitting me when you say it. I go,
I
oh, that
know.
seems really
I know.
interesting because I don't think I've
I
actually
oh
heard that before. It's like this
yeah.
feeling of like what does that mean? Are we going to
Yeah,
see
I see a
things?
sweater and like the string pulling the sweater and the sweater just starts to like go away when I see the
Okay.
word unraveling. I can read, so I channel a message every month for our community. It nurtures them, it feeds them. And in January, I was telling you earlier, January was all about like, what did you say you wanted to create in your life? Write it down. Don't leave anything off the list. Write it down. All the things you said you wanted to do, put it down. Okay, now what did you create in your life? Write that down. And then understanding you are at the center point of all that is. You create your reality. That was January. And we learned all about that. And the guides talk all about that. And then we have sessions and we talk about it. And we have challenges. February was, this is how they teach us, which is amazing, right? You said you wanted these things. You said you wanted to create these things. Now, when they come to you, you've got to put the fear aside and you've got to say yes. You've got to say yes. The opportunity comes to you, you got to say yes. The person comes to you, you got to say yes. You've got to move through the fear. Now, March was, it's amazing. It was about sharing the gifts, sharing the knowledge, sharing your understanding, because there's going to be an unraveling. So I can read the last paragraph that I
Sure.
actually put out. I put it out on YouTube. It's kind of going viral. The very last paragraph says the month of March will be the beginning of the unraveling into the spring. You will see a chain of events that unravel and present themselves to you. We say now that you are better for it, knowing that these days are to come. For when they do represent themselves, you will not be in disbelief. We will not tell you with which tactic you will experience. We will, however, witness it before your eyes. You will, however, witness it before your eyes and understand that you are now the receiver of higher dimensional information that you must now use to your advantage to support not only yourselves, but the people around you. You see, dear ones, you are chosen. You have listened to the call that is deep within you and that asks for more of you than others. You are the ones that have convictions so strongly stricken into your soul body that you know you must continue to walk this path of the unknown and desire to do nothing more than to expand, learn, and see your lives better. And for the knowledge you have now within you to be expressed to support others on your mission on the earth's plane is that of greatness. You are the mortal version of your soul. You are here only for a short time to witness your soul journey and expand, grow, and elevate. And know you have the opportunity to shift in a great way before your own very eyes. You see, you are the weak, you are the humble, you are the downtrodden. You are just like your fellow humankind traveling the game of life to experience all that it has to offer. You have witnessed great trials, and now you desire to watch the shifts and expand together. Once again, together, fellow members of your community, once again, the draw that you have, all individually and collectively, is strong and undeniable. Feel it, and do not doubt what is before you, for you are here now with the express desire to learn. Learn and grow. Love yourself and love others without bounds, open fully to all life has to offer. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
I love that. Yeah. So that, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that kind of breaks it down. It's to really, I mean, it feels like an expansion. It feels like maybe
Mm-hmm.
also, I think a lot of truth is coming out. I think we're going to see
Mm-hmm.
more and more of that
Yes, it
from
is.
what I'm feeling. That's where that unraveling feeling comes from.
It
So,
is.
and
Yeah.
that's hard for a lot of people. That's hard for a lot of people to, especially when we all, I mean, people, I think in the more, I don't even say spiritual, but even just the healing world of
Mm-hmm.
things, we're kind of used to adjusting and change and
Yeah.
questioning our beliefs, questioning our, but there are people who aren't cool with that. They're okay with their comfort, and discomfort can be troublesome sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
really they need to probably dig down really deep and say, am I comfortable, or am I happy? Am I truly
Yeah.
happy? Because comfort can really be a disguise.
It's
And so,
detrimental right now.
mhm,
It needs to be like it's the biggest thing. It's what's coming up for everyone now. It's what's coming up for everyone now.
mm,
So if you're not comfortable and if you're comfortable, but you're feeling this dis-ease with your
mhm,
relationship, this dis-ease with what you're doing every day, with your work, like it's all coming up now to the surface. It's like if you're meant to elevate and shift, which everyone is, but like if you're actually like say it's you, like your former version of yourself, before you started this podcast, before you were doing this work, and before you
mhm.
got all of the new things that you're about to bring to the world, like it's coming up to be looked at.
Right.
It can't be buried. It just can't be.
No.
And like we said before, when that switch goes off, whoop, the blinds come up, and you're like, you can't live that way anymore.
I
You just
know.
can't live that way anymore. I have just one more thing I'd
Sure.
love to share with you when it's the beginning of the pineal gland meditation. They said it's very important. It is a time now for you to do this. You need this to support your community's journey. They're in need. And now, so the 2025 predictions video talks about all the things that are coming to the surface now: the music industry, the entertainment industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare industry, the financial industry, education, government, all of it. It's all coming. Like truths are about to be revealed, and people that have been in high positions are about to fall far, is what the guide said. So they're saying, people are going to really need this right now. They're going to need that support. They're going to need the community, that their world is going to change. They're going to be suffering. They're going to be scared. They will be in pain and confused. They will be downhearted. They will need their fellow people to understand what's happening in the world that they've existed in. They won't understand what's happening and who is in control of your planet. They will be shaking and brought to their knees. They will look at you, that's our community, as a source of guidance, much like teachers and guides. You'll know what to do and when to do it. No one will be left behind, and we're all exactly where we need to be, and we can't coward. We need to rise up now, to be the lighthouses and the beacons of hope and love and support. So all your friends that
Mm,
are fighting and the people that are, they're all going to come to you and say, you knew all this,
mm.
you saw all this, you understood all this. I need your help, I need your love, I need your support. And that's really imperative, because when someone comes downhearted with an open heart, it's go time, you
Yes.
know
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
absolutely. Pamela, this has been amazing. I wanted to kind of wrap it up with what you just said, because it's, to me, it's imperative that people understand, to be part of a community or a tribe or
Mm,
a group of people that can give insight, not necessarily answers, because I don't really believe in anyone just knowing all the answers,
yeah.
but the idea that there are people out there that are wanting to help through these tough times. Because, and that's what's wild about this. I could have heard something like this a few years ago and thought, what, but look how close we're getting to this point where
Mm-hmm.
everyone is starting to really question everything.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
Trusts are being broken, feelings of who's really in power here? Who's controlling my life? Am I controlling my life? There's all
Mm-hmm.
these questions coming up. So this is this is truth. This isn't just a an idea that's been
No.
thrown out there. It's becoming
Mm-hmm.
more, it's almost like the truths were there, but they're getting closer to the surface. And now
Yeah.
we're actually hitting the surface, and it's time to really, people like yourself, people like myself, the part of the people in the community. I'm sure a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
people who even follow our communities are
Mm-hmm.
leaders themselves or seekers, or they're people
Mm-hmm.
who just want to really like, help people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage everybody to be doing that. And I think it's Spirit Calling, the community you run.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. It's beautiful that you do something like that. I would encourage everybody that's listening to check that out. It's even the soul inspired, just the people that come in and continue to listen
Mm-hmm.
to these stories. There's a part of you in there that knows that something's going
Yes.
on. Like they know.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like I used to listen to things and I'd be like, yeah, it's in there. I don't know when it's
Mm-hmm.
coming out, but it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think it's beautiful that you're doing this. And thank you for sharing everything you did today. This has been
You're
an amazing
welcome.
talk. Again, you talk about time going fast. It's like
I know.
I felt like I talked to you for 3.5 minutes. That's what it felt like. So I'm
Me
sure we'll do
too.
it again, and maybe we won't
You're
wait
so
as
funny.
long this time. But
Yeah, I'd
it's
love to
really
come
been,
back for sure.
yeah, it's been beautiful having you on. I want to thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I'm excited for you. I see so much happening for you in a really near future.
Oh,
And everybody listening, everyone, like, don't lose faith. You're going to get stuck in the mud. You're going to get stuck in the sludge. Look at it as a good thing because amazing stuff is on the other side of it. Amazing stuff is on the other side of it. So just keep that as your focus. And thanks for having me. And I can't wait to come back again.
thank you. Thank you so much. Please continue to like and share and subscribe to the Soul Inspired. Thank you, everybody, for the support. And I'll see you next time on the Soul Inspired.
So